When you let go of happiness, you finally find peace, Schopenhauer's insight. I want to ask you something before we get started. Are you happy right now? Take a moment to think about it. It seems like a simple question, but not many people can readily answer yes, I'm happy. Most of you are probably thinking something like this. Not yet, if only this one thing would work out. Just a little more, and then I'll be okay. Once the situation passes, I think I'll finally be happy. Isn't that strange? We want happiness, but when asked if we're happy right now, most of us say not yet. Today, I want to talk about this strange phenomenon. And to find the answer, I'd like to look into the ideas of a philosopher who lived about 200 years ago. His name is Arthur Schopenhauer. A German philosopher, widely known as the most pessimistic thinker in history. When you first hear his name, you might think, why should I listen to a pessimistic philosopher? But by the end of this video, you'll discover that this pessimistic philosopher's words are actually the most grounded and realistic source of comfort for those of us living in this era. Alright, let's begin. We seem to be designed from birth to pursue happiness. Think back to when you were young. You wanted new toys, your favorite foods, and recognition from your friends. That desire didn't disappear as you grew up. As a student, you wanted good grades. Entering society, you wanted a good job. Once you got the job, you wanted a promotion. After marriage, you wanted a better home. When children came, you wanted a bright future for them. This chain of desire has no end. And here's the strange thing. When we finally get what we've wanted so desperately, happiness lasts far shorter than we expected. In psychology, this is called hedonic adaptation. Research shows that the joy we feel after getting what we want typically returns to its baseline level within 3 to 6 months. The excitement of buying a new car, the satisfaction of moving into a new home, the thrill of starting a job you've always dreamed of, all of these feelings fade with time. And then we begin to want something new again. Schopenhauer saw this human nature with remarkable clarity. He said this: the moment a desire is fulfilled, it disappears, and a new desire immediately takes its place. This is the nature of human life. At first, this might sound cold and bleak. But if you think about it honestly, it's not wrong. We believe that getting what we want will make us happy, and that happiness will last forever. But reality doesn't work that way. Schopenhauer lived in the 19th century, and our world today, overflowing with smartphones and social media, looks very different. Yet the fundamental structure of human desire hasn't changed at all. In fact, with the rise of social media, things have gotten worse. We are now exposed, 24 hours a day, to the seemingly happy lives of others. Someone's travel photos, someone's promotion announcement, someone's beautiful meal, and looking at all of it, we unconsciously think, that person looks so happy. Why am I like this? In that moment, our minds begin to feel unhappy, right here, right now, even though nothing unhappy has actually happened to us. To understand Schopenhauer's core philosophy, we need to look at his major work, The World as Will and Representation. It might sound intimidating, so let me explain the essence in the simplest way possible. Schopenhauer believed there is a fundamental force that drives this world and our lives. He called it the will. This will is not simply the feeling of wanting something. It is a blind, relentless force that keeps everything in the world in constant motion. Feeling hungry and wanting to eat, feeling lonely and wanting someone, achieving success and wanting even greater success, all of this is the work of the will. But here's the critical thing Schopenhauer says. This will can never be satisfied. The moment one desire is fulfilled, a new one is born. When you're thirsty and you drink water, the thirst is quenched, but then you get hungry. When you're full, you get sleepy. When you wake up, you're hungry again. This doesn't only apply to eating and sleeping. Every human desire has the same structure. So Schopenhauer saw human life as fundamentally swinging between two states. One is the suffering that comes from lack. The other is the boredom that follows satisfaction. When we want something we don't have, we're in pain. When we finally get it, we feel empty and restless. Then a new desire forms, and we're in pain again. Like a pendulum, human life swings back and forth between suffering and boredom. This sounds deeply pessimistic at first. And Schopenhauer was, indeed, a very pessimistic philosopher. But I don't see these words as pessimistic. I see them as profoundly honest. He simply told us the truth about the illusion we've been holding on to about happiness. Happiness is not a sustained state. Happiness is a feeling in a particular moment. And like all feelings, it fades with time. Yet we expect it to last forever. When that expectation isn't met, we feel disappointed, and we label our current state as unhappy. Schopenhauer shatters this illusion. He says, happiness is not something you obtain. Happiness is simply the temporary absence of pain. This might feel shocking at first. But think carefully about the moments you remember as your happiest. Most of those moments were not only about achieving something, they were also moments when the worry or anxiety that had been weighing on you finally disappeared. The relief when an exam is over, the lightness when a long illness finally passes, the exhale when a grueling project comes to a close. A significant part of that happiness comes from the pain being gone. We already know, through our own experience, that Schopenhauer wasn't wrong. There is another factor Schopenhauer identified as a source of human misery. Comparison. He says, humans are never satisfied with what they have, and they always envy what others possess. The moment you compare, you become your own tormentor. Think about how true this is in real life. Imagine you receive your paycheck today. It's a little higher than you expected. You feel good. But then at lunch, you find out that a colleague earns significantly more than you. Where did that earlier happiness go? Gone. In fact, you feel worse than before. The actual amount of your paycheck hasn't changed at all. But the moment a point of comparison appeared, happiness turned into unhappiness. This is the trap of comparison that Schopenhauer warned about. Before social media, we compared ourselves mostly to a few dozen people around us. Neighbors, school friends, coworkers. But now we compare ourselves to millions. On Instagram, on YouTube, across all kinds of media, we see only the highlight reels of the most successful, the most beautiful, the happiest looking people out of millions. What happens when you compare those polished highlights, those carefully edited photos, to your own ordinary daily life? You always come up short. Schopenhauer asks us to take one step back from this comparison. Stepping back doesn't mean escaping from reality. It means stopping the measurement of your happiness by someone else's life. When you think about it, other people's lives are beyond your control. You can't do anything about someone else doing better than you. And yet we suffer because of it. There is nothing more inefficient than suffering over something you cannot control. What Schopenhauer is saying is this: change the reference point for comparison. Instead of comparing yourself to others, focus on what you already have. This is the first door to peace. Instead of happiness, Schopenhauer talks about peace, tranquility. The word tranquility might sound bland at first. Compared to the word happiness, it feels far more passive, less exciting, less appealing. But Schopenhauer explains it this way. Happiness passes like noise, but tranquility remains like air. Happiness is intense but brief. The excitement of New Year's Day, the joy of a graduation ceremony, the feeling of a first meeting with someone you love, these emotions are powerful, but they don't last. Tranquility, on the other hand, is not glamorous. It is quiet. But it lasts much longer. The stillness of drinking a cup of coffee in the morning, the quiet satisfaction of finally finishing something you'd put off for a long time, the comfort of sitting beside family without needing to say a word. This is tranquility. Schopenhauer saw this tranquility as the only positive state that can be sustained continuously in life. So how do we reach it? Schopenhauer offers 3 approaches. The first is to lower your expectations. He says, "The fewer the expectations, the less cruel life becomes." We are often disappointed not because reality is bad, but because our expectations were too high. If you start a new job thinking everything here will be perfect, even a small mistake on the first day can be deeply disappointing. But if you go in thinking it'll be unfamiliar and awkward at first, small difficulties won't shake you. Lowering expectations is not about becoming indifferent to life. It's about choosing to see reality as it actually is. The second is to focus on the present. Most of our anxiety comes from the future. Worry about things that haven't happened yet, fear of an uncertain tomorrow. And most of our regret comes from the past. Grief over things that can no longer be changed, self-blame for what's already done. Schopenhauer believed that keeping your mind in the past or the future is inviting suffering upon yourself. When you focus on what is happening right here, right now, the mind can finally rest. The third is to reduce desire. This is the hardest part. Schopenhauer is not saying to eliminate desire entirely. Desire is also the energy of life. What he's saying is, don't be dragged around by desire. When a desire arises, notice it, I want this right now, but don't cling to it as though it's everything you are. Following these 3 things may not make your life more glamorous, but it will make it much quieter. And within that quiet, you can find what it truly means to be at peace. There is one sentence from Schopenhauer that I love the most. If you can endure an ordinary day, your life is already a success. This might not immediately make sense. We're used to defining success like this: great achievements, remarkable accomplishments, a life others envy. But Schopenhauer says that's not what success is. Ordinary days far outnumber special ones. The vast majority of our lives is made up of very ordinary days. Days that aren't particularly good, and aren't particularly bad. Days where you just eat, work, and sleep. How you spend those days ultimately determines the quality of your life. If you spend those ordinary days thinking this isn't enough or something more special needs to happen, then most of your life passes in dissatisfaction. But if you receive those ordinary days with "I made it through today," then most of your life becomes peaceful. The success Schopenhauer speaks of is not grand. It's living through an ordinary day with steadiness, and with gratitude. That is success. And when those days accumulate, life as a whole becomes a little more bearable. We often think, I need some dramatic change in my life. But what actually changes a life is not a series of dramatic days. It depends on how you live through the ordinary ones. Having heard all of this, you might be thinking, so is he telling me to give up on happiness? To want nothing and just exist? No. Neither Schopenhauer nor I am saying that. Letting go of happiness is not giving up. It is letting go of the obsession with happiness. Let me be a little more specific. There is a difference between moving toward happiness and being obsessed with it. Wanting a better life and working toward it, that's a good thing. That's motivation, that's energy. But thinking I can't be okay unless I'm happy right now, or I'll finally be happy once I get this, or the version of me that isn't happy yet is not enough, that is obsession. The moment you become obsessed with happiness, you constantly define the present moment as unhappy. Happiness always lives in the future, and now is always insufficient. Letting go of happiness means letting go of that obsession. Acknowledging that it's okay if this moment isn't perfect. Knowing that even without feeling particularly joyful right now can still be enough. Schopenhauer says, what torments human beings most is not unhappiness itself, but the effort to avoid unhappiness. This might sound paradoxical at first. Don't try to avoid unhappiness? What does that mean? Think of it this way. The effort to avoid unhappiness starts from the premise that this moment is already unhappy. I'm unhappy right now, so I need to become happy quickly. That thought itself creates tension in the mind, makes you feel rushed, and causes you to reject the present. But the moment you accept this state is okay, the tension in your mind eases. That state of ease is tranquility. Letting go of happiness is the choice not to fight with life. Life often doesn't go the way we want. Unexpected things happen, plans fall apart, and moments come when we don't get what we wanted. In those moments, you could resist, fight, and rage at why things have to be this way. But Schopenhauer saw that fight itself as suffering. When life doesn't go your way, accepting it as it is, that's not defeat. That is, in fact, the wiser choice. So let's talk about how to bring this into our everyday lives. First, define today in smaller terms. Don't set the conditions for happiness too high. Try setting a smaller standard. If I just do this one thing well today, that's enough. If I focus on just this one thing today, it's sufficient. Small standards make small achievements possible, and those small achievements accumulated make the whole day feel bearable. Second, consciously reduce the time you spend on social media. Schopenhauer said comparison is the cause of suffering. And today, the most powerful tool of comparison is social media. You don't have to quit entirely. But try becoming aware of how much time each day you spend scrolling, and gradually reducing it. That alone can make your mind feel significantly lighter. Third, choose the direction of less suffering. From Schopenhauer's perspective, reducing pain is a more realistic goal than pursuing happiness. When you face a decision today, instead of asking, "Will this make me happier?" try asking, "Will this make me less miserable?" That small shift in the question can change the way you see your life. Fourth, spend a moment with ordinary things. Morning sunlight, a warm meal, a quiet evening, these things aren't special. But as Schopenhauer said, happiness is not an intense emotion, it's the absence of pain. And that state is already present within these ordinary things. Today, we've explored the ideas of Arthur Schopenhauer together. He is a philosopher who offers no comforting words. Instead, he strips away the illusions we've been holding. Happiness doesn't last. Desire has no end. Comparison breeds suffering. And yet, within those cold, unflinching words, I find something strange: comfort. Because those words also mean this. It's okay not to be happy right now. Not because you're lacking, but because that's just what happiness is. It's okay not to be extraordinary right now. Simply living through an ordinary day is enough. It's okay to be a little tired right now. You don't have to fight with life. You're allowed to just let it flow. Schopenhauer's philosophy doesn't teach us how to become happy. But it shows us the direction of becoming less miserable. And perhaps, that is exactly what we need to hear right now. Today, you don't need to achieve happiness. Just being at peace today, that is enough. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If this video resonated with you in any way, please consider subscribing and leaving a like. And I'd love to hear from you in the comments, which part of Schopenhauer's ideas spoke to you most, or what kind of small piece you found today. See you in the next video.